Fellas, over the weekend, we just saw Max Holloway deliver one of the nastiest, brutal KOs we've ever seen in UFC history. Some people would say that that is the best knockout in the history of the UFC. It went viral, and yeah, it kind of stole the show of what was already a big card of UFC 300. So, Max Holloway, he's coming off a viral knockout. He's the BMF belt. The world's his oyster. Whatever he wants to do next, he can do. But I've got three options that I think Holloway should pick. Well, pick one of the three that I think would benefit his career the most and just make the most sense. All of these different options take a different box in Max Holloway's career, so let me know what you think Max Holloway should do next in his career. But the first route I've got for Max Holloway is the risky route, and it's risky because the route is to fight Islam Makhachev at 155 or Dustin Poirier, because that fight got announced, but I'm assuming that Islam's going to be champion, and it's to fight Islam Makhachev at 155. Now, the reason he should do this is because if he was to actually go out there theoretically and fight Islam Makhachev, which you can make a case to do so, because listen, there's not really, after UFC 300, Gaethje's no longer a contender, Oliveira's no longer a contender, Arman Tsarukyan rejected the fight because he wants more time, and the only person that's going to be fighting for the belt anytime soon is Poirier. So Holloway can definitely make a case to fight for the belt after a performance like that, but why should he do it? If Holloway was to somehow beat Islam Makhachev, not only would that be one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, not only would that boost his star power astronomically, but he would be the first person in UFC history to win an interim belt, a BMF belt, a featherweight belt, and a lightweight belt. His resume would be absolutely insane. The fact that he would have won so many belts would definitely push him in the GOAT list, and he would have accomplished so much. I mean, getting a win over Islam Makhachev alone, take away the belts, would have been massive, and I think that would definitely boost his star power, boost his career, and everything like that. So it's a risky route, though, because Islam Makhachev, most likely, I'm 70% confident would beat Max Holloway with ease. But hey, maybe Dustin Poirier gets the upset on Islam Makhachev, and then we can see the trilogy between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, which is a much more winnable fight for Max Holloway. So it's no longer as risky, but at the same time, he still gets the benefit of winning a lightweight belt. So fighting at 155 is the first option, and at the same time, he's just fought at 155. He doesn't have to fluctuate in weight. He doesn't have to go up to 155, then go all the way down to 145. If he wants to stay at 155, which he's looked good doing so, he just saw him piece up Justin Gaethje, who was the rightful #1 contender at the time. So now that he's just taken out Justin Gaethje, yeah, he can call the shots at 155. If he wants a title shot, I don't mind him doing that. I don't mind him, you know, going down that route for a title shot. And I think if he wants to go down the risky route of fighting Islam Makhachev, he could do that. And even if he does lose to Islam Makhachev, even if Islam Makhachev takes him down and submits him in one round, the fact that he's got this insane featherweight legacy, which we'll talk about in a second, he could also then go back down to 145 and face Ilia Poirier, because who else is there realistically? Movs or Evloev? You think UFC are going to pick Evloev to get a title shot over Max Holloway? They'd never do that. So the first route is 155 against Islam Makhachev or Dustin Poirier if he's the champion. And yeah, it's risky, but it's high risk, high reward. The next route that I think Max Holloway can take, and I don't think he'd mind this route at all, is to fight Conor McGregor if Conor McGregor beats Michael Chandler. Now, if Conor McGregor loses to Michael Chandler, which, I mean, it's not that shocking if he does lose to Chandler, but if Conor McGregor actually beats Michael Chandler, without a doubt, Max Holloway is going to want a piece of Conor McGregor. I mean, everyone in the UFC roster it's McGregor at the end of the day, but Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor 2 for the BMF belt, honestly, that would be one of the biggest pay-per-views you can possibly make in the UFC. Imagine Conor McGregor goes out there, starches Michael Chandler. You've got the highlight reel of Max Holloway brutalizing Justin Gaethje and McGregor knocking out Chandler. You've got two of the biggest stars in the UFC. They've fought before and they're fighting again at a completely different weight class. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler versus Max Holloway 2. I think that is the biggest possible fight you can possibly make in the UFC right now. I mean, of course, it's going to have to include McGregor. He's the biggest star. Him versus Holloway at this moment in time would be massive, right? It would be huge. Even if it's a welterweight, I actually think Max Holloway would go to welterweight to fight Conor McGregor. Yes, he'd have to bulk up a lot. I mean, he's literally just fought at 145 in his 2 fights ago, but he'd actually go to 170 to fight McGregor. Now, obviously, the benefits of this, he would become a massive star. If you face McGregor, you're instantly going to become a star. His star power, his career gets boosted. And if he beats McGregor, he's going to become even more popular. I mean, if McGregor beats Chandler and Holloway beats McGregor, you know, he's going to get paid a shit ton of money. He's going to go viral for beating McGregor anyway. He's going to go viral for fighting McGregor. It's the biggest fight that he can possibly take in his career right now. And yeah, if he was to fight McGregor, defend the BMF belt. And again, even if he does beat Conor McGregor, he can then go from there, fight at 155 for the belt, fight at 145 for the belt. So the McGregor fight doesn't even slow down the process. So that's my next option. The money fight if McGregor beats Chandler. And I don't even think McGregor would be against that fight. If you tell McGregor, listen, you've just beaten Chandler, we can't have you fighting for the belt because there's someone else fighting for it, but you've got Max Holloway at 155 who's willing to fight you for the BMF belt, or at 170, wherever you want to go. Do you want to take it, McGregor? I reckon McGregor will be up for it, so that's the next fight, the money route against Conor McGregor. And then the final route, I like to call this the smart route. This is the route that Max Holloway can take, which I'm pretty sure he's going to take and is probably the best option, and it is Ilia Topuria. I think about with Islam Makhachev, like I said, it's high risk, high reward. He'd benefit so much from beating Makhachev, but that's if he beats Makhachev. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think he does that. I think 145 right now is Holloway's best option. He came out practically untouched against Justin Gaethje. Like I said before, he's got a viral knockout, he's the BMF belt, and he is the #1 rightful contender at 145. Volkanovski needs a long layoff before he comes back after that Ilia Topuria loss, so a fight with Ilia Topuria against Holloway is the smart route. I mean, first of all, it's probably it's an extremely winnable fight. Ilia Topuria is a winnable fight for Holloway. A lot more winnable than Islam Makhachev. A lot of people would bet Holloway to beat Ilia Topuria, especially after that performance against Justin Gaethje. So it's finally a chance for Holloway to fight for the belt as well against someone that's not named Alexander Volkanovski. Pretty much his entire featherweight career, Holloway's been the best. The only person he hasn't been able to beat is Volkanovski. And Volkanovski holding the belt obviously means that Holloway can't actually become the champion. Now that Volkanovski's not the champion and it's Ilia Topuria, which is a winnable fight for Holloway, that's his chance to go back down to 145, snatch that belt from Ilia Topuria, and then become a BMF belt and the featherweight belt. I know he's become a featherweight champion of the world, but he can get the BMF belt and the featherweight belt, two different belts at the same time, and that is a big career statement for Max Holloway. And again, if he was to beat Ilia Topuria, Topuria's a massive star. That would boost Holloway's career. That would boost his stardom massively. So that's the smart route, and I think it's most likely to happen. They've been exchanging each other on Twitter. Holloway called him out online, and again, if Holloway was to beat Ilia Topuria, and I know, I don't want to be one of these people that the second you win a belt, you move up a weight class, but I wouldn't even mind Max Holloway versus Islam Makhachev if Islam Makhachev had cleared, well, beaten a few contenders in the 155 division, and Max Holloway was the 145 champion. Even if Max Holloway was the 145 champion, he did stay at 145. He's already beaten like nearly every single person on that roster besides Alexander Volkanovski. Assuming that Volkanovski doesn't get an immediate title shot, Holloway can just keep on beating these contenders, contender after contender after contender, or he could have a fourth fight with Volkanovski and make it a super fight. Whatever he wants to do at 145, there's a lot of options, but yeah, these are the three routes that I think Max Holloway can take next in his career. He's on top of the world. He can choose what he wants to do, because after a viral knockout like that, I think he deserves to do whatever he wants to do. That is an extremely impressive performance. 3 different routes, all of them benefit him in different ways. Let me know what you think Holloway should do next in his career. But yeah, that's what I think Holloway should do. One of those 3 routes. Thank you for watching.